תזרח השמש, נדע ימים יפים מאלה, הלב נלחם בדאגות. כולם יחזרו הביתה, נחכה להם למטה, הלוואי נדע בשורות טובות. כי עם הנצח לעולם לא מפחד, אפילו כשקשה לראות. כולם ביחד, אף אחד פה לא בודד, שישרפו המלחמות. עם ישראל חי, אם לא נשכח תמיד להיות מאוחדים. עם ישראל חי, בעליות בירידות, גם בשעות הכי קשות. הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, אז מי יכול עלינו? כי אין לנו עוד מדינה. תעשה שלום בינינו, שמור על ילדינו, כי לא אבדה האמונה. עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי. עם ישראל חי. אור ארצי נחלתנו, לא תיפול כעת רוחנו, מסביב ברזל של חרבות. ויונה תפרוס כנפיים, התקווה בת שנות 2000, עוד נצא לשיר ברחובות. כי עם הנצח לעולם לא מפחד, אפילו כשקשה לראות. כולם ביחד, אף אחד פה לא בודד, שישרפו המלחמות. עם ישראל חי, אם לא נשכח תמיד להיות מאוחדים. עם ישראל חי, בעליות בירידות, גם בשעות הכי קשות. הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, אז מי יכול עלינו? כי אין לנו עוד מדינה. תעשה שלום בינינו, שמור על ילדינו, כי לא אבדה האמונה. הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, אז מי יכול עלינו? כי אין לנו עוד מדינה. תעשה שלום בינינו, שמור על ילדינו, כי לא אבדה האמונה. עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי. כי עם ישראל חי.
Shalom, shalom, folks. How you guys are doing today? Ham Israel, hi. Hashanah Tova. Rosh Hashanah is celebrated, so I'm uh, conveying all the greetings for the Rosh Hashanah. That's the Jewish New Year. So, well, folks, how you guys are doing today? It's been a week that we didn't meet. And how was your week? We had a terrible situation here in U.S., especially in Florida and Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, I think North Carolina, South Carolina, because they had all the storm states they call, or they were all affected by Hurricane Helena. More than 200 people died. I mean, it is highly devastating situation, very tragic, and no words to describe that. People lost their houses, electricity, no power, nothing, no cell phones, and people are stuck up still in the houses. We don't know the death toll could increase more than expected, and the government has taken all the necessary actions, and also common public are helping a lot, and the politicians are helping a lot. So things are going on here, but still, then the lost is lost. More than 200 lives have been lost, irreplaceable. So that's really tragic. Right? So we pray for them, and we remember in our prayers. And I also tell you guys to keep them in their prayers on their, loved ones, their families, those who lost their father, son, daughter, brother, sister, everyone. So please remember them. It was a very tragic situation last week that happened, like a couple of, it's almost 10 days now. But other than that, we're doing okay. The climate is kind of getting changed here because we're going to enter into the fall situation. Winter is just trying to jump in, and it's going to be all full of, going to be sweaters and all the other things. So, well, anyway, last week and last days we were talking about certain very important thing about the Mark Gospel. You all knew that we have seen a lot of discrepancies among these Gospels, and those discrepancies are like what I can say. There's so many discrepancies we have seen in the Gospel of Mark, talking about the genealogy between genealogy of Mary and genealogy of Joseph, Matthew and Luke, and also the travel narratives, birth narratives, and also the Jesus was trying to prove himself as the Messiah, and even then he was trying to tell them people when the people asked, he wasn't giving them the complete clear cut, and he was refusing, not to kind of hiding himself, and told the people to not to tell anything about himself. So we have seen a lot of contradictions in the Mark Gospel, and also we have seen some of the comparatives from the Luke and John and Matthew. So why these things? Is this New Testament? Then it gives us it makes us to ask a question. Is really New Testament is the Word of God? Or did God give this Bible to the Gentiles or to whom he gave? See, these question might be a very, very old, maybe like 100 centuries old, maybe, but still then, people may see that what is this guy is asking a question. It is, already proven. Everything is proven. This is the word of God. People have written as inspired, gospel writers wrote these things, right? But as you all know that no one know until today that who wrote the gospels. No one knew. Nobody know that who wrote the gospel till date. So that is a problem. So moreover, it is not that like the Old Testament, God gave the Torah on the top of the Mount Sinai. It's not like that here. It's a man-made. Everybody knew that it's a man compiled it, man wrote it. All the narratives of Jesus and his life history in those gospels. So we need to make sure that how this has been put, how this has been complied, compiled, how this has been done, like who gave and who brought all those things, what was the necessity, why they want to do this one, because we call these are all called the canons. Canons means I do not know how many of you guys knew about the canon means. Canon as the limitations. I mean, like this is it. There is we can say it's kind of a size or something. In the sense, when I say the size means canon is you set a thing and that's it. Nothing more to be added in that one. That's the canon. It's a measure. It's kind of a yardstick or something that you measure. That is it, and there is nothing more to happen. So who controlled or who compiled these canons? Most of the Christians, they do not know anything about that. I'm talking about my hometown, my home country, my place. Most of them, they do not know who are about this canon, what the canon means, and this is what the definition I would like to give you guys. So there is a kind of a set limitations, a size or length or whatever it is. So these books have been formed and compiled, and they named this one. This is the New Testament, and this is a canon book. That's the canons. It's all compiled together. You cannot add anything anymore in that one. So, who did this one? How these things happened? I mean, like there are a lot of writings, it's so much of writing, even from the first, second, third, and fourth centuries. The early Christians were only following when the Jesus was on this earth, and his followers, they were having only one Bible, that was Old Testament. They just followed the Old Testament. They read the Old Testament. You might have seen, Jesus was reading the Isaiah chapter 63 in the temple or synagogue. So they were only, and Jesus was observing everything, all the festivals, even on these large days, he was going towards Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. So they were fully into the Old Testament. There was no New Testament. So question is, when Jesus didn't follow the New Testament, why would you follow the it will be a stupid question from me, but I'm just throwing it there. So the point is, none of the disciples know anything about the New Testament at the time period. So those first century Christianity people were following only the Old Testament, nothing else. So they were a small group of people. They were following these Old Testament, and now who put these things? But on after the death of Jesus Christ, after the death of Jesus Christ, um, like I was asking one question. Yeah, in the during the first century, people scattered, the disciples scattered, no one was there, and then there were a lot of writers um, claimed, and they wrote so many writings, and there are still available from the first century to fourth century. There were still available. There are books and writings still available. Uh, you know. Um, that there are so many writings were there, but are they talking about Jesus? Not many of them were not talking about the Jesus Christ or anything. I mean, the outside documentation. I'm telling. I'm not talking about the gospel writings. So when these books were written, these writings were there, and it was a time of this Christianity group was developing. Christianity people were developing, and they started reading all these things. So they wanted to have something solid in a concrete way, because it's kind of a lot of things where so many falsifications, so many rhetorics are coming up, so many gaslightings were coming up. So there were a lot of things, but they wanted to standardize. Everything should be standardized. So there were a lot of debates were going on, lot of debates. First century, second century, third century, there was so many debates were going during those days, because a lot of writers writing with a different opinion, with a different theologies, and with a different rituals and different practices. Everybody was writing on those days in the first century, second century, and third and fourth century. But people, most of the people, the common people, if you ask anybody, you ask anyone, the common people would say, I'm talking only about my country folks, the common people would say that these books, New Testament, is compiled by the Nicene Council. There was a council, and this Nicene Council in the middle of 300, AC 325 or something. So this Nicene Council only compiled all this book. This is a thought process till today. It is there prevalently been roaming around with among the Christianity people, that they think that these books or these Testament books were compiled by the Nicene Council, which is absolutely wrong. Nicene Council didn't do anything about the collection of the Bible. Nicene Council didn't compile these New Testament books at all. It is totally, totally wrong. But the people think about that. What we can say. That's their thing. So Nicene Council only dealt with the Nicene Creed. That's it. Period. That's what they gathered. That's what they discussed. That's the only thing. It's all about the Nicene Creed, not about the New Testament. So then, who compiled it? Until the fourth century, there were so many people came up with so many things. No one. There are so many gospels. There were so many gospels. I mean, so many proto gospel and proto letters were there at the time. So it wasn't. If you will be you will be surprised to see when this Bible New Testament was compiled. See, Old Testament was something beautiful. God came, God gave the Torah, it was given straightly to them. There is nothing that man made, straight to the God, to the Moses, and Moses writes it. I, Moses, I am writing this book. He establishing his name and everything. But whereas in Gospels, no establishment. No one knew who wrote these Gospels. Mark, Matthew, Luke, no one knew. So the only thing is that we are having here some writings, and we are taking that as a granted to the story of Jesus. That's what the thing what we are seeing over here. So um, um, there are other gospels also was found somewhere in 18th century. Uh, During the 18th century, there was a gospel called the Gospel of Peter, and also there was a Gospel of Thomas. Or Thomas was like he was also like it was told in the gospel that he was the twin brother of Jesus. That is something really strange because we knew that only Jesus was born, but Thomas' gospel describes that he was the twin brother of Jesus Christ. And Gospel of Peter, which was found in the 18th century. Remember, Jesus' story happened in the first century. These gospels were found in the 18th century. They found the Gospel of Peter, which describes about the complete resurrection and narration. It's a mind-blowing thing. If you listen to that one, you'll be like, "Oh my God!" A lot of graphics and a lot of like what I can say, the dramatization in the Gospel of Peter. So these were all done by 18. So the books were getting still found, and then people are seeing the new editions and new inventions and coming up. So gospel was not compiled even in the 4th century, not at all. So when it happened, but in during the 2nd century, I think during the 2nd century, a popular bishop called from Alexandria. The he was a very popular guy. His name is Athanas. So he's from Alexandria, Egypt. Alexandria of Egypt. He compiled the whole Bible, and he even compiled up to the 27 books. And he said that this is the Bible and this is the compilation. And he sent out all the notice to, because he's a writer. He always writes so many things. So he wrote everything and he distributed to everybody, saying that the 27 books are the only books that we should follow. That is the first time ever told in through the Bishop of Alexandria, who is called Athanas. And also, there were books introduced by Irenaeus, during the 2nd century, and also during the 3rd century. We also seen Origen. Origen is a bishop that he was writing so many writings. These writings were considered as the canon at that time period, because there were writings one after another. It was kept on being found, so they were adding up to the canon, because the canon was not formed yet, but still they were including all these things as a canon, or these writings, like they're what I can say, not even the canon. What is it? So yeah, it was like 2nd century, like it was a father of the father of the church was called Irenaeus, and the 3rd century a father called Origen, and also the 4th century the father of the church history called Josephus Flavius, which he wrote 10 volumes of the history of the church. And they discussed about these things. They debated about this one, and all these books were debated, and all these books were discussed during those time period. The canon, the church history book, until the 4th century, they couldn't able to do anything. If you talk about the New Testament canon, still it is a contradiction only. I will tell you what it is. So when basically it was compiled, not in the 1st century, not in the 2nd century, century, God didn't give the books to all the apostles, said this is the book of this thing, New Testament. No, it didn't happen. It's all written by somebody. No one knew who wrote those books, but it was compiled completely, periodically, once every time it was getting compiled, or they were discussed or debated about the topics. So how to group these things? How to group these things, like what were the basic things that they came up. So when all the debates have been gone, all the debates have been going on, what they found is they will have some protocols or criteria to qualify as a canon book, a book to be inside the canon. To be qualified, they must meet the criteria. What are the criteria that they set up? Number one criteria is this book should be written by one of the apostles. Anyone it is. It should be proven, it should be written by one of the apostles. Then we can add it in the book of New Testament canon. Number one. And number two, maybe a person who is very closer to the apostles, very close to the apostles, who knew apostles very well. If they wrote something, that could be added into the canon. So that was the second criteria. Number third is book should be an orthodox in nature. Orthodox is like kind of original, very, very organic, very orthodox in nature books. When you read the books, so those books could be added into the New Testament. Like closer to apostles, like Paul was very closer to apostle. He was not an apostle, but he claims himself as an apostle, but he was not a chosen apostle by God, by Jesus, but he was claiming and he wanted to be more, acquainted with all these people. So his books were added into the New Testament. Paul's book was added into the New Testament. So, and also the fourth and fifth category was someone who was very good in writing, like Justin Martyr, or on the Roman middle of the 2nd century. So, and also if those type of writings are found, probably they also could able to get inside the New Testament canon. And also, it should be widely used, mean it should be widely accepted by the for everybody. Like it should be Catholic. It should be Catholic. When I say Catholic, Catholic means it is not the Roman Catholic or something like that. Catholic means universal, meaning it should be widely accepted by everybody. Then it could be added into the because sometimes back what they were thought that if the bishops or pastors or if they are not accepting or agreeing or arguing on some of the gospels, that means that gospel was not written by the apostles. That's why these many problems are coming up. That's why these many things are happening. So they don't take it inside the canon, collection of the books. Canon is another word, is kind of a collection of books, right? So they don't take it. So, and also the way the books are selected is it is an apostolic or an orthodox. The way that orthodox is decided is like by the acceptance or dominant theological view. That's how these are being selected. Okay. So who found, at least, who compiled these books? First century, no. Second century, yes, we talk about the bishop of Alexandria, Athanas. He tried, but after he instructed the people, this is going to be the Bible. This is how the Bible will be, like 27 books. But still, new writings were coming on. It was kept on growing. So finally, in 16th century, the Council of Trent puts everything together. Then they make this as a New Testament Bible. Not too far, just like 500-600 years back. That's where it is. Not on the first year or second year. It was no. These things are put into compilation during the 16th century. That's during the Council of Trent. That's what happened. It happened like a 1545 to 1563, 18 years of discussing, 18 years of talking together. So the Council of Trent puts this, Trent is in Italy. It's a place called Italy. They put this book as a, because there are a lot of discrepancies even today. Even today, major this canon, when we talk about the New Testament canons, major churches like Catholic churches or Orthodoxy or some Protestant churches, these major churches are following these books, these the compilation done by the Trent Council. But so many other churches, like churches from Ethiopia, churches from Armenian, their canon book is different from the New Testament. There are some books are not found in the canon. There are some other books are added in the canon. So there are some groups still existing. I mean, like a lot of people, not only a few hundreds, something like that. This is a group of people from another country. So in Ethiopia, the Ethiopians Christianity, they do not agree. So the canonical book of New Testament, they have their own canonical. The same with Armenian, and also so many other smaller groups. They have so many new books added into their canon. They were not considered as a New Testament Bible, so they still use those things, small books, into their canonical studies and canonical way of reading things. So these are the small people. So these are the small groups that they have. So there are differences in the canon itself. There are so many differences. Different denominations use different canons and different different groups. So there is no unity and uniformity in the biblical at all, because Ethiopians, they don't even believe in Revelation. So what will happen in the future comes Jesus comes in? Are they going to be surprised, taken into a puzzling shock or something? What is going to happen? So these are things that, folks, you have got to be knowing all these things. So the gospel was written only during the time period of 16th century, which was written by the they're called as a Council of Trent. That's where it was written. So um, when even though when Athenaeus uh, wrote letters in his 367th letter, he sent, I mean, in the 39th letter, during the year 367, he wrote to the churches that this is the compilation, 27 books of the compilation for the New Testament, but it was still keep on growing. That's why I said that 16th century was the only one we came to know the Bible was compiled. It was not easy, folks. Compiling Bible is not easy, because you have to write the scriptures. Scripture writing is not easy. Not many people are writing on those things, and it was not a very easy one. It was a tough one to compile all this things, to write all these things, to make sure that the documentation is correct. That's not easy thing to do, but that's how they did it. So during the 5th and 6th century, the debates were kind of still continuing on those days. So we saw there are certain things about the Gospel Peter and there's the Gospel Thomas. As I said, that there are so many things that we didn't include in our canon, but they're still existing. People believe in that. People work on that. So it is kind of a little chaotic situation right now. Why people still believe in those Gospels when this canon, New Testament, formed, right? So again and again, I'm telling to you guys today that you learn today when and how these Canaanite books or canonical books been formed, how it happened, and what was in the first century, and what we studied last time with the Mark Gospel. So having said that, guys, and in upcoming future, I haven't decided yet what chapter that I should be, what book I should be talking, but I'm going to talk some general topics for some time till I decide something, and then I'll come with a bang on something on new topics or new book that we can read. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I will definitely, please send me a mail or something. I will definitely consider that, and I will definitely will present those books that if you want to study or something. Okay. All right. Okay, and let's wrap up this one. Shalom, shalom alaikum, shalom alaikum, Shabbat shalom, Shavvato. May God bless you and God be with you. Hashana Tova. Enjoy your Rosh Hashanah. Take care, guys. Bye bye. What happened to my music? Come on. See? Happens when I try to close these things, it never closes, you know. Let's see.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה